with the show. So glad you made it. I had to cut our guests off from bullshitting before the show even started. So I'm excited. We're going to talk MoonBirds. We've got 2 of our 4 guests already hanging out with us. We've got 2 more showing up at some point. Who knows? Let's go.
Club NGMI.
Oh, happy Monday, everybody. Lou,
Monday.
How are you doing, sir?
Good. It's a wild weekend. I'll get ahead of it and say no, I don't have a Moonbird. Didn't get a Moonbird. I missed all the Moonbird stuff. So that's down bad, as they say.
Babs, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Yeah, I won the raffle for the MoonBirds. Of course, everyone's gonna say, of course. I have a MoonBird. I second guide one also, which is my biggest purchase ever. So that took some conviction. So yeah, I'm doing good because of that. It's good. Happy to see them run. I'm sure we'll get into it some more. I also know how people's feelings are when they don't have a MoonBird right now. So again, try and be sensitive to how the way other people feel, but it feels good on my end right now.
Trey, how about you, sir?
Man, I'm doing good. My back's feeling better. So I can sit upright in my chair and stuff now. Went to the chiropractor, got me all fixed up. So feeling great there. The house is kind of coming along now. So was stressed about that, taxes, some other work stuff. So last week was kind of just one of those weeks where I was looking forward to it being over. And it is. So I did miss MoonBirds though. So I got a little consolation prize though, getting in there. But yeah, overall, just happy to be here on Monday. That's for sure, and make it past last week.
Jason and Gabe, just to give you the backstory in the back comment. Trey's done well in NFTs, and he recently moved into a new house, not related to NFTs necessarily, but he moved himself instead of buying movers, and I just thought that's
Oh no.
I had this same conversation with somebody the other day.
Threw my back out, yeah.
And I said, you have enough money to not move any of your own shit. And he's like, well, how much do they cost? I was like, $200. And he was like, especially if you're going staying in the same city, it's a whole other thing if you're moving them interstate, right? Yeah, well, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear about your back.
No, it's doing great now. I can hardly even feel it. But yeah, last week was not fun. That's for sure, especially Monday.
I will also hop in and say that, Trey, next time you're in Victoria, BC, my dad is a chiropractor, so we'll hook you up.
Hell yeah.
Hook you up. You're down bad on the MoonBirds. It's
I'm
okay.
always down to get a on-the-fly adjustment.
We're there. You know what I mean? He'll bring out the table, the mobile one. We'll fix you up,
Hell yeah. I'm all for it.
I love it. So Jason and Gabe from Bitletro are here. Before the I'm not going to hold you to this. You can pump your bags for longer than 30 seconds. But before the show, I was like, here's the outline. I'm sorry, we got to talk MoonBirds. It's just going to be, it's how it has to be. And then we'll get to Dreamer stuff and then, hop around and whatever. We want to just shoot the shit. So Jason, introduce yourself to the crew. And then how was your last weekend or last week?
Yeah, so what's up, everyone? My name's Jason Verners. I'm the head of outreach here at Bitletro Labs, as I wear a Cranium hoodie, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But on that, yeah, I've been in NFTs for a little while. Back in 2018, I bought a CryptoPunk, paper handed it back in 2021, I think. So I'm down bad, as they'll say. Thank you. And but I've been with Electro since the beginning over here with Gabe, and it's just been a wild ride. So my weekend was missing the deadline for not MoonBirds, something else. I forgot to do KYC for Bored Apes. That was the week prior, so down bad on that. Thank you. But with MoonBirds, I just assumed I wasn't gonna win, so I was no surprise. So I'm down bad, but I'll keep dollar cost averaging my way on the rest of my bag. So it's been a normal weekend, I would say. Right
there you go.
Perfect. How about you, Gabe?
It's been a weekend of disappointment. I did not get a mint pass to the MoonBirds. I passed on buying them at 6 ETH right after mint. When a few were dangling there at the floor, I passed at 7 ETH. I looked at them again at 11 ETH and said, no, this is too high. Again at 14. I texted a few friends to see if maybe we should group buy. I listed a mutant in hopes of buying some. The price keeps going up. I don't know. And then it's like every price point, every time it just legs up another 20%. It's just a worse buy at that point, and I just get more FOMO. So, knowledge or awareness of your bad decision making doesn't make you immune to it. So yeah, that was my weekend. I mean, there was like family stuff too for Easter, but like fundamentally I was watching the MoonBirds for most of my waking hours.
One sec here, let me just go through. Sorry to interrupt dinner. I just check the floor.
Now, what are you looking at? We're visiting my family. Oh, there's these little animated pictures of birds that look like they came from a Super Nintendo. They're selling for about $60,000 right now. Should I buy one?
Sorry, that's $70,000 now.
I did get in the raffle. I have my version of Down Badness is it's like the flooriest of birds, and I actually don't like it at all. Like I have no emotional attachment to it, but there's almost no chance of me selling it at any sort of premium and getting back in with one that I like more. And also, like you, Gabe, I saw the price. I was geared up and ready to buy, and then I just thought it would dip harder, and it just didn't. And then I had to go hang out with friends at a brewery with kids, and then I described to them what was going on. I said, "Do you see this? I could sell this right now for, at the time, it was like $30,000." They're like, "NFTs are stupid. All this is ridiculous. I don't understand it." And I said, "Well, next time, let me know. Set up a Discord. I'll show you how to get a MetaMask, and then I'll explain stuff to you, how to get it set up. We'll do the raffle together." So hopefully we reduce all of our chances by getting some of our normie friends in on these raffles, because they were interested in how to get rich quick. But
yeah, everyone's interested in that.
Yeah,
it's only stupid when they're the ones that don't have skin in the game or aren't profiting. That's
they weren't itching to nest.
No, they're not interested in nesting. Like, oh, it's a new type of staking. It's in your wallet. They're like, I don't care. We in our little corner of the internet, we're getting into whale fights now, which is related to my bags are better than your bags, and this relates to the Azuki art that was just dropped. People are just so pissed because people are like, "Oh, the Azuki beans look like shit," and then the Azuki people are like, "Beans look awesome," and it's just so stupid. So to your point, Gabe, it's like, yeah, these are the best things ever because price goes up. That's what it is. It drives me crazy right now.
Yeah.
It feels maddening some days. Like this weekend was a particular type of madness and euphoria and mania and pain for many that I don't think I've experienced in this space in some time, although attention spans are short. But like just the dramatic rise from 2.5 ETH to 17th floor on secondary up to 20 was just so fast that just a wave of emotions. So
I thought it
was. What's the closest thing that we've had that was like that? Honestly, like I can't remember a certain anything going that hard that fast.
Invisible
friends. The Azuki day. The one day that one you can almost go on their like OpenSea chart and see the day that they where it was just like such stupid volume. So that was the closest that I mean that
I feel like Bored Apes had a few days like that too, right? Like a few days where
went pretty hard.
The time compression.
Go ahead. But like Bored Apes were over a course of like, I mean, they minted in April and they've kind of like, it seems like, I know that they've had those big legs up, but it has seemed like more gradual than some of these newer ones where it's like Azuki was literally just like, I mean, they minted at 1 ETH and it seemed like it immediately rocketed to where it is right now. I mean, they've only been out for 3 months. So Azuki is probably the closest comparison that I can think of in terms of like that quick daily price action where it's just like, I mean, minute by minute sales at 20 ETH. That's just insane.
Like Mechverse back like pre-reveal was kind of nuts too, because that was like a 0.2 mint. Then all of a sudden was like 8.9 for like 4 days pre-reveal. It was like holy shit, and now it's worth 0.4. So you did really well if you bought the top there, really well.
There's a lot of fun with that one too, though. Like with the buyers getting in early, and some people were offering more than like the floor on pre-reveal and stuff like that. So there was some like interesting stuff going on that caused some weird price action there too.
And they all
Whereas
look
this
the
was
same,
like really
right? Like,
smooth.
Mhm.
Like this one just went off without a hitch. It seemed like. I mean, there was the FUD around the art sucks and it's pixelated, but that's kind of missing the point.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got a little bit of Moonbirds out. What do you have, Gabe? Did you have something, Gabe?
I wanted to ask. So, how many on this call have a Moonbird? 2 out of the 6 of us right now.
I
Got
had a
it. Okay.
Moonbird.
It's 2. Yeah.
Got it.
so I've got 2. Yeah, I second guide one
Right
at
on, yeah.
10.6. I bet I was like you, Gabe. I was watching the floor all morning, like all day. I probably stared at it for 5 hours, and then finally I was like, I'm just biting the bullet. Like I was planning on second guy one. I kept thinking it would I kept thinking it would dip, and then I just bit the bullet because I didn't want to leave that day without having a second one. Because one of the biggest mistakes I've made is only having one of those blue chips. Like
Yeah, it
we always
sucks.
we always make the joke in our Discord, having one is basically having 0 because you're never going to want to sell.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
Right, Dangy?
there's a behavioral economics phenomenon called the endowment effect, which describes that. So like I buy 2 of everything. Like if I want one of something, I have to buy 2, and if I can't afford 2, then I don't buy any. That's the rule. So
Yeah. I sometimes buy 3, frankly. Like I listen to my Lord and Savior FaZe Banks, who says that the first one you sell to like cover your costs. The second one you sell at like at a preferred price, and the third you hold forever. And I was like, thank you, FaZe Banks, you scholar, you. And now I own even more bags. So
No, Jason. No.
It hasn't worked yet.
Be careful. We're big into imposters. So if you we love FaZe. We want FaZe we need more Instagram posts about
I need
imposters.
a third imposter.
Fair.
Gabe, can you go deeper into the endowment effect? I've been wanting to get like a psychologist related to trading because I didn't come into this space as a trader and I'm bad at it, and it fucks up my head for weeks. And so that might help me moving forward. So
I'll go into
go
the
off,
endowment effect. This is one of my favorite phenomena in behavioral economics, which is really just a subdiscipline of psychology. So the classic study exploring the endowment effect actually used a coffee cup, and the manipulation, the experiment. So like half the people that went into this research lab would get one scenario, one manipulation, half would get the other manipulation. And the basic manipulation was, hey, I'm giving you this coffee cup. Now, if I were to buy it back from you, how much would you sell it to me for? And what they'd find, the participants would say, oh, $6, $6.50, $7. The alternative group would get a scenario where they come in and say, hey, let's say you need a coffee cup. How much would you give me for this coffee cup? And they would say $4.50, $5, $5.50. So you see, I'm playing with the averages here. So the first group that got ownership of the coffee cup, they're charging a higher price point than the group that was asked to purchase the coffee cup. The basic phenomena in the endowment effect is once something is yours, you tend to have a higher price premium in terms of your valuation of that object in a marketplace than if it wasn't yours. So consequently, like we don't want to sell. We think, no, I think this is worth a little more than what the floor price is. Even if the market decides, the market's efficient, the market's setting the price point, you don't want to let go of it. And then this phenomenon interacts with all that other shit that we're playing with in the NFT space. It's my profile pic. It's now tied to some sort of super persona in my internet, life. So it's all of these things compound to just make it even harder for you to sell it. But the basic phenomena deals with price valuations. So.
That's wild. And that also relates to, it might relate to what I saw. I think it was part shit posting, part not, but people were just describing like, oh, the hoodie floor is X, and oh, this specific trait is Y for the floor. And so it gets into little micro communities of bag pumping of like, well, the Grail floor is 40 ETH now. And so because I think that one buyer is going to look for this specific trait, therefore I should ask for more for my specific trait, even though how many buyers are there, or how many buyers will there be for that specific item? That's the other part, is the spread between the bids and asks is what's kind of terrifying in these somewhat illiquid JPEGs, which is why it can be very scary.
Yeah. And like I always say, knowledge of the phenomena does not make you immune to it too. We still play into these weird trappings and weird concepts. Like I listed a mutant yesterday in hopes of buying a moonbird. I delisted it, but it was a mutant with the tongue feature. He's holding like the can of beer. So I listed it higher, and I realized no one wants these. It's an ugly trait. But I thought, well, I'll get 30% more than floor price for this fucking green tongue holding a weird beer can. No one gives a shit. It's ugly. So exactly. Anyway, no offense to anyone that uses the beer can mutant as their profile pic out there in the audience. Okay.
To be fair, they're all pretty ugly, right? Like
most of them are.
Good looking mutants are few and far between.
Exactly. By design, they are mutants.
1 week ago today, I think we went through the mutant merch and just said all of them are ugly except for like 2. So yeah, we're fine saying we're fine talking shit about mutants.
You know what's funny though? You know what's funny about that? I'll speak on that. So I bought when I was in LA, when I was at the Warp Sound event, it was held at the Diamond Supply Co. store. And I bought like, they did a drop, I guess, months ago. That was like the Diamond Supply Co. Mutant that they own, like on the back of a sweatshirt. And it's kind of cool seeing like a skate brand do merch with a mutant, right? But then I thought about it, like I bought it and it was like $90 or something like that, which is kind of a lot for a sweater. And like, I love Diamond Supply Co., but I loved it when I was in grade 7, right? And I realized I haven't bought anything. Like, why am I buying Diamond Supply Co.? Was a question that like came across me like a couple times during the transaction. I was like, I would never do this if it didn't have a mutant on it. But it's suddenly becoming one of my favorites. So that's the story behind that for me, which is weird. It's weird though, right?
It is weird. Yeah. I used to hold Azuki. My story is a tragic one for myself, but I won't bore anybody else with it.
Oh, no.
And then people start looking at those bomber jackets. And I'm a 36-year-old man. I have 2 kids under 4.5. I'm never going to wear that bomber jacket, but I still want the option to say, I'm too cool for the bomber jacket. I want to be able to say, no, thanks. It's very bizarre. I don't understand it.
It's interesting.
I saw a tweet from DC Investor about the current cycle of blue chips that are happening, which is basically high floor price. Then you do companion drop, then you do land, then you do a token, and you rinse and you repeat it. So this is my segue into Dreamers VX and what you all are planning to do as far as next steps, because I know you're taking a different path.
Enough said. No, it's token, our land. And then the project's over. And then we go to something else. I'm just kidding. I'm totally being facetious. Anyway, sorry. I like your transition though. Yeah, we are taking a different approach. On many fronts. I always like to say we're not just here for a good time. We're here for a long time. But we are building a DeFi product. Is fundamentally what we're doing. Everyone says, when's the game coming out? It's not a game. Like, there are a lot of gamified components in DeFi products, but I'm an OG crypto head, trading Bitcoin since 2013. I use half dozen DeFi protocols day to day for staking, farming, yielding, borrowing, etc. Why? Because they produce yield, and it's a way to find some interest in a marketplace where otherwise there's not a lot of interest bearing things, at least in legacy finance. So with that knowledge and with our engineering team, we're building a DeFi product that has a gamified component. There's a game of chance, but we're looking at token integrations. We're looking at a native marketplace. We're looking at staking for the tokens themselves. We're not committing to launching our own token, because we also think there's a lot of value in teaming with other projects that have tokens. So like on our short list, something like Magic. Not going to call it the apes. I don't think they'd mess with us, honestly, but there are other ecosystem tokens out there that are driving utility to the liquidity that they have, to the volume that they have, to the holders that they have. And I think we could provide some value there. We're also keeping our options open in terms of what L2, that is what non-Ethereum mainnet, what EVM we can build on. So the other thing is we're going to go with whichever one's going to give us the support to bring the users in. So Polygon's obviously on the short list, but so is Avalanche, so is FTM, so is Flare Network. So yeah, and so that's a real high level. Yeah, Flare's a new one if you're familiar. They had a pretty good raise. We've got a line into them. We've had a few intro calls, but yeah, they're under the radar, but they're doing some cool stuff.
I was about to say I try to be plugged into DeFi stuff, and I had not heard of Flare.
Newer L2. Yeah, they've got some cool stuff. And then we've had some intro discussions with Chainlink. We've actually got a loose like LOI about using their VRF function for random number generation. So for anything where you've got games of chance, you want an oracle, you want to be provably fair, right? So we're going to be leveraging Chainlink VRF for the provably fair component, and hopefully we're getting a little bit of marketing and sounding from them, or so they promised us. We shall see. We do have an inroad to their marketing folks, but yeah, but the ultimate goal is that you'll be able to use your Dreamer, plug it into this platform that we're building, and then there's going to be a game of chance that's generated. It's sort of like an auto battler system, basically, where you select from a queue system, kind of similar to Zed Run. You wager some tokens, and then it's a winner take all based on various traits that are derived from your character's metadata. And there will be some modifiers, there will be some power ups, integrations with our other collection Dream Loops. We're currently going through like all the modeling and like actually applying stats and base rates to our crazy list of traits and attributes for the collection. Shout out to Josh on our team that's actually taken on that monumental undertaking. He's going to be in spreadsheet hell for the next 4 months, basically. But that's the process. So, and we're not promising it overnight. We were hoping to release some demos and like a full UI UX kit of what the ecosystem is going to look like and do within the next month. And we've actually produced sprite sheets for most of the characters in the collection. And for those that don't know, that might be listening, a sprite sheet is kind of how old school 2D video games are made. So modern video games mostly render in real time. You got these polygonal figures that are running around, and there's a gaming engine, whether it's Unreal, Unity, whatever, that's rendering these characters and then, detecting collisions, detecting all sorts of stuff, all the physics, basically. Old school games, though, had these sheets of different states for the character. So like for NBA Jam, for example, or Street Fighter or whatever, you can actually pull these sprite sheets from the old ROMs, and you get to see each character in every possible state that they could ever be in. That's what we had to produce for the character animations for the battle arena. So it's going to look something similar to a 2D RPG game. So it's like turn-based combat. The player, the owner, is not going to control the combat. It's all randomly generated, but two characters in an isometric view, shooting spells, casting magic missiles, throwing tomatoes at each other, using traits from our collection. So now I'm just on a rant. I said I was only going to plug my project for 30 seconds, but I'm just going. I'm in it.
I have a question that's tangential.
Go ahead.
What are you looking at when picking an L2? Which L2 to use? Because us as investors and players, we hate Polygon. Polygon sucks.
Yeah.
It's slow, and but projects keep using. Why do they keep using it? So initially we were like, let's go Polygon, because like the Avogachis over there, which is one of my favorite NFT. I shout them out all the time. I've still never met anyone from their team. I'm always singing their praises. They probably got like, $20,000-$30,000 worth of marketing from me just running around various podcasts talking about how much I love their project. I participated in all their haunts. I bought numerous portals. Jason traded me some magic lessons for a portal once. That's probably the worst NFT trade I've ever made, because I've only got like 2 magic lessons out of it. He looks frozen too. Either that or he's upset with me. Anyway, there he goes. Anyway, why do they keep using it? The network has problems with throughput. There have been whole days where you couldn't get transactions processed. Not to mention, a lot of products I will use on Polygon, I will have to confirm the transaction multiple times for it to even broadcast to the network. Not acceptable. So we initially were talking like in our AMAs and public discussions of the product that we would be using Polygon. It was stuff like that and issues with throughput that drove us to explore the network. So what we're looking for a network that's going to give us some technical support, whether it's even just providing us like ease of access to documentation, access to their engineers. And just to be frank, I want money. I want a network that's willing to support us with marketing dollars. Like if we're building a product that brings users and values to your network, what are you going to give us for it? How can we take your network and leverage some of your existing capital, some of the liquidity of your token, for example, your native token, to broadcast this cool thing that we're building for your network out to the world. So I plan to shop this around. I'm going to hit up all the L2s, show them what we got once we have something I'm comfortable giving a demo for, and say, hey, I think this brings value to your network. It brings users. What do you give me for it? and assuming the network can handle the transaction throughput that we need, we might just go to the highest bidder. But we'll also go, we do take
and solicit feedback from our users. So if our users feel strongly one way or the other, we'll consider that. I do think, given Polygon's recent shortcomings, like other players are emerging and coming to the forefront. I was really high on FTM for a while, but I know one of their founders just sort of exited, and that gave me pause. But you just went like this, like, no, don't do it. Yeah,
well,
we like FTM for a bit.
I moved my funds off of FTM once Andre left. Which is it's kind of crazy because we're like, oh yeah, decentralized. It's the blockchain's going to run forever, and then one guy leaves, and I'm like, well, see you later. I'm scared.
And that was the sentiment that the token price tanked that day, right? It's seen some recovery since then, but yeah, so it's kind of we're in a rogues gallery of L2s right now. I don't think there's a clear front runner when you're looking at EVMs.
As a prisoner of the moment, the bell of the ball right now for me is Avalanche with their subnets.
Yeah.
I listened to a podcast with Ed Chang, who's the head of gaming over there, and he was talking about how they're really excited to support people, and they have all this infrastructure built in, and it lets you use a chosen native token if you want for gas fees, et cetera, and you can set it up your own way essentially for the blockchain, so you can choose your own whether you want to value security or speed, that kind of thing. So when I hear of a project going to an Avalanche subnet, it's more bullish personally. Babsloo or Trey, do you have any opinions on L2s or even roll-ups while we're talking anything other than mainnet, basically?
Nothing as high level as you. I mean, nothing that I could offer that's going to be higher level than what you and Gabe are talking about here. But I mean, I share a similar sentiment. If I heard that one of my favorite games is going to Polygon, I'd be like, how about we don't do that? And if they said that they're going to an Avalanche subnet, I'd be like, I mean, hell yeah, let's see what we can do, right? So whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. I don't have that technical knowledge, but that's just the general sentiment that I would feel.
Yeah, please no Harmony and please no Polygon.
Harmony's great. Everyone buy our jewel on Harmony.
Yeah, you should use Harmony.
But like I was a big Zed guy back in the day, and even then, like
me too.
There was whole days where it was unusable, right? And like that, like it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to join a race for half an hour straight and keep getting rejected, like it's not fun. So
I can't believe we grinded that.
Pick in your stable lane. I want gate 7. I want gate 7. Confirm. Nope. I'm out. Okay. Anyway, yep.
My question is, how many people are still racing on Zed Run? Like just a sideline. Like, are any of us in the room right now still racing on Zed Run?
Number couple thousands.
Okay.
I think they have more users now than they did back in like July. They have more people. But also there's like, I think there's stamina now, so you can enter less races than you could have before. I haven't really I haven't entered a race since
my horse has got to be loaded on
August.
stamina.
I haven't entered since August when NFTs kind of got really hot, and you only have so much time for so many things. So I still have horses. I haven't raced since then.
The number of like profitable horses is very low. That's the big thing. Yeah. It's like that number might be 200 horses, but there might be like thousands of people playing, So, but they've been trying to change some things, do like different contests for weaker horses, or like double ups, like where half the horses get double the money that they entered in instead of just the top 3 get more. They're trying to do different things like that, but I think a lot of the hype is mostly gone.
It's too bad. The concept is novel, but I don't think there's a rich enough set of features to keep people entertained. Like it was fun for me, and then eventually it was not that novel anymore.
It was not fun.
It just became a grind after a while. Like the novelty kind of wears off when it eventually just becomes if you have a profitable horse, it's just a grind to try and grind that profit, but it's a very small margins, and it starts becoming a job. Right.
Yep.
It's a lot of just figuring out that all your horses suck, basically, in a way, right? Yeah, I get that.
Or that,
the joke was always what, like, you have a horse worth multiple ETH, but they race in a straight line. They don't even go in a circle. Like, isn't that always the go-to? Like, I think that's the biggest pitfall with Web3 gaming, because like the price of the assets that are yielding tokens or that you're using in the games is tens of thousands of dollars, and then the game looks or feels low budget. Like look at Cool Cats. I haven't even played Cooltopia, but that's the vibe that I've gotten, is that it's not fun to play, but the assets were priced very highly.
I'd
But
say
the
it
market
would be
prices them
fun
highly, which
if
is
it
what's
was
weirder.
working correctly. Like the
Yeah.
Cooltopia was kind of a cool like interface, but you just click and just everything's spinning, and then you just lose any sort of excitement you had to play it.
Right. Weren't
That
they also
first-
having moments where like people couldn't go in? Like you could join, and then they were like, "Come back in 4 hours," and everyone's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell my cool pet right now." Like that was the vibe. It
Yeah.
seemed online, which is interesting. It's so funny. I kept getting rugged there because the whole house right now is so warm because of the turkey that's cooking right now. So I'm like on my phone, like praying. I got a fan going. You know, we'll see if I survive a few more minutes.
Oh, good luck, Jason. So,
Thank you, sir.
Gabe, you mentioned L2s, but you haven't mentioned any roll-ups. I'm a ZK nerd. Very interested in roll-ups and ZK tech in general. Have you looked at ZKs, or would it just be too slow for what you're looking for?
I haven't explored it yet. That might be something I want to task my engineers with, like given the specs we're proposing for the platform, and see if it's viable. Like I do know what we want to do will work just on an L2 EVM, but not opposed to that. So yeah, a little more research to be had in that regard. Absolutely. What do you like? What's the favorite on your list?
As far as L2, as far as like ZK software or ZK tech
or
ZK
tokens
Sync
even.
ZK Sync is the big one. There's not really been many or any token airdrops if you want to go play around in the ZK world and hope that just money rains down from the sky. That's always a fun game to play in the DeFi world.
Right.
But it's more the tech and what's going to open up moving forward as far as how ZK works. Cause it just blew my mind once I thought I understand how ZK works. Like you don't pass information, but you can prove that something existed. It's literally JSON like magic, but using cryptography. So I think it's going to do a lot of stuff in actual true eventual real world use cases down the road. Like the biggest issue, at least for me in the big picture of ZK stuff, is Tornado Cash has a gigantic stigma. Honestly, rightfully so. Like we saw the Beanstalk hack and then just 100 ETH tornado, just hammering it. So the need for privacy right now on Ethereum is to do nefarious things. But if people start using privacy protocols for everyday use, then I'm just using it because it's what I use versus I just hacked somebody for many, many millions of dollars. And that's why I'm hiding what I'm doing. So down the road, I see a lot of stuff in ZK. But I'm also interested in the roll-up side of things as far as speed and that kind of thing. So
I need to explore it more. That's the other thing. It's I think of myself as someone with pretty good knowledge of most nuances and places in the space, but I'd say I have a superficial knowledge presently of ZK rollups. Outside of knowing zero knowledge and some of the things they do, I admittedly do not know all the machinations of how they work. I do understand L2s, so I think part of that is me doing a little more exploration and then giving my engineers a directive to see if this is something we can leverage and utilize. Right. So
yeah, it's more of a toy that I like to explore versus I don't know if it'll work perfectly for what you're looking at. So what trends in NFTs? Because I know you just wanted to kind of chop it up in NFT world. Like aside from just number go up for quote unquote blue chips that minted out 3 days ago or whatever, what's exciting you? Like what's getting you interested in NFTs and or crypto?
Man, once I get past the exhaustion of not grabbing a MoonBird, I don't know. I'm really curious to see what spring brings. Not to like, Yuga gets they often suck all of the air out of the room. That being said, I have a large position in ApeCoin. I still hold some mutants. I admittedly sold my ape, and I don't care. I sold it at a reasonable price point. It kept rallying, but that was a meaningful amount of money. I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm curious to see what they do with their metaverse play. I'm bullish on metaverses from a technology standpoint, but I am constantly skeptical of of like a metaverse experience where users want to log in and stay there all day. Because right now it's a lot of these tertiary things where someone comes in, they look at your gallery, they check out your space, and they leave. The sandbox looks like they have all these cool gaming things where people can build these little mini games, maybe even have native token integrations or some sort of reward systems, not to mention token gated experiences. But they might be able to have some of these meeting places where people will hang out like they do in World of Warcraft or EVE Online or Second Life or even VR chat. So I'm curious to see who's going to crack the nut on that. I don't know if it's Meta. I don't know if it's going to be Yuga Labs. I don't know if it's going to be Sandbox. Someone's got to figure that out. And the keys are already there. Like they just need to take cues from gaming experiences that have existed for 25 years. Like I like to reference Ultima Online, which is like one of the earliest MMOs. People are doing it there. I'd go to my friend's house after school in 7th grade and we'd go break into other people's houses on Ultima Online, steal their swords and their gold and stuff. I'm admitting to past crimes. I think the statute of limitations is over on those, but I don't know what that says about my character. I was in 7th grade, but anyway, so, but the tidbit from that is that we would hang out in this online universe for hours and hours and hours. And we're yet to see a metaverse where people are hanging out for hours and hours and hours. So that's something I think about a lot. And like, how do we port some of those experiences over into the metaverse? Like it's such a buzzy thing. And yet we don't yet have a platform that people want to utilize in Web3 at length. So yeah, that's something I'm thinking a lot about lately.
I always laugh about it and make the joke that metaverses, all it is people using their NFT and jumping around in space for 20 minutes. And like, they go there, meet their friends, they jump around and then they log off. Like you need like video game metaverses, like the old, like World of Warcraft, like that stuff. Like people hang out there because there's a fun thing to do also while they're there.
Right.
So what's that going to be? Like me just going to hang out in a virtual land environment without some other tangible benefit of fun, like that does not interest me at all. Right.
Agreed. Yeah, exactly. It's got to be more than that. Like we have a great deal of success with keeping users in our parcel for metaverse parties, but the incentive there is we have DJs, we have entertainers, we've had rappers, we had this kid Cash Dami that had a top album on Spotify and Billboard the month he was there. We routinely pack it with entertainment. We always have giveaways, and then we keep the giveaways running for the entire 4-hour duration, which keeps people there. So it's like we have to pay them or give them some potential EV from that experience to get them there. Like metaverses can't live on that model alone. So I'm completely in agreement.
It's great for floor price when you can just throw it out there though, and you don't have to describe it because nobody knows what it is because nobody's actually built one yet. Yeah. So then you can just throw it, but then literally everyone in the NFT space has like this different grand vision in their head of what a metaverse is going to be. So when you say that you're building that metaverse, literally everybody has something different in their head, but whatever it is, it's fucking fantastic. So it's great for floor price, like movement and shit. But man, like, yeah, I got the same, like, what the hell are they even building? Like when you say that you're building a metaverse, where do you even start? Like,
this reminds me of like, I'm going to say a TV anecdote here for the Silicon Valley fans. Russ Hanneman's character, whenever, what was his name? The head of Pied Piper mentioned revenue. He says, no revenue. Like the moment you lock it to something tangible, like those crazy lofty expectations go out the window. So it's much like what you're describing, Trey. It's like, yeah, the moment you tie it to a software development kit, a game demo, something that people can actually mess with, it screws the price valuation. I don't want to say that happened to Sandbox. I like Sandbox. I think their product's great. We have an estate. We're going to build the shit out of it. That being said, they started doing their alpha releases, and the price went from a floor of 3 ETH per plot to what is it, about like 1.9 or 2 ETH right now? I don't know. I mean, maybe it's related, maybe it's not. But yeah, that's unfortunate in this space in general. Like the MoonBird utility is still like a head scratcher to me. Like I get it's attached to proof. I get it's Kevin Rose. I'm no. Hey,
I'm going to pump your bags.
Okay,
you nest your bird for 30 days, and then you claim stickers.
Yeah. I was
Hey!
I was gonna make the joke that we're gonna be nesting our $60,000 asset and get a T-shirt at the end, like
Well, that's
what-
one
like,
of them. The hoodie. If you
I
have the
know.
hoodie,
But that's the thing, like, you know, once you start thinking of NFTs like rationally, like none of it really makes sense at these price points, right? So like it feels a little like, don't think rationally because none of it makes sense. They're all too expensive for the most part, so it's hard to get your head wrapped around that.
But to what Gabe and Trey were saying, like my investment thesis on these play to earn games, even metaverse games, it's sell before they ship. Like sell before it happens, because
yeah.
it's not going to meet expectations. I've failed on a couple of times to sell before people ship, but I do actually like those projects somewhat, which it's sad when you're talking to project folks who are like, we want to build, we want to ship, we want to give you stuff. But investors, you're right. The point is like, you're not going to meet the unknown, which is the gigantic challenge. You're never going to meet those expectations. So just this past weekend, I was asking like, when have they promised High Rise, their metaverse project? He said 8 months. I go, okay, great. I've got a long horizon.
But people also don't have like the like patience for that stuff or the mental capacity to wait it out. So like, I'm always curious, like even Bored Ape, like building this metaverse, like how long is that going to take? At least a year, right? Like, are people okay waiting for that to be developed while, you know, like what's the
cool stuff is happening?
What keeps the excitement going, right? Like a lot of these projects need excitement to keep going while you build a game for a year and a half, 2 years. Like that's a real struggle for a lot of these projects. Like I don't know how people balance that, like creating constant hype and excitement while letting people have the time to build something that might take 2 years. Like 2 years is a long time in crypto, right? Like
super hard. I don't think a team's figured it out yet.
I feel like the apes kind of have, right? Like I used to say to people before, like even before the mutants were a thing, like, what's the utility of this? Well, it's a flex. It's a watch. It's a car. Like if the NFT can provide this meta persona on Twitter, that might be enough for some users to hold it through the long or prolonged development cycle of getting to that metaverse play, etc. Not always. Like that's why when I see like an access pass that's really expensive, but it's also not a profile pick, I'm like, ooh, like hard to buy in at this point, because like I don't even have that like superficial utility of leveraging it as a Twitter profile pick, for example. Like, you know, like in the case of like a proof
emotional
pass.
connection.
So, yeah, that too, you know, which also like, you know, the endowment effect is exaggerated when it becomes like part of my identity, you know, whether it's, you know, a guy with a piece of pizza in his mouth that I put on my Twitter profile, you know, it's like, I'm the pizza guy on Twitter. Anyway, just sort of ranting, but yeah, maybe they've figured it out. Maybe, I don't know if another team is even close, but yeah.
I mean, that's why I've always, and I don't know if I still think like it's hard to look out 10 years or something, but I still almost feel like punks, just because the fact that they don't do anything might be their best utility. And just the fact that they don't promise anything. So you can't like be worried or overreact when they don't do something.
You're making me feel even worse now. You know what I mean? You're making me feel even worse now, you know?
Yeah.
I miss 7,000, whatever it was, frankly. I agree though. I agree. And it's even in the same thesis of why I bought the punk back then, was the same thing of it doesn't do anything and it's not promising on doing anything. So at the time where it was like $30-something or whatever, I was like, this is still kind of ridiculous in its own right. And I think I kind of agree with what you're saying. And it kind of also pivots to why maybe some of these like meme-centric projects, maybe like an MF or something like that, somehow is rallying up. I don't know. I don't know the right answer. You know?
Well, so you don't know us well enough to not step on things that are painful. Like I think this group on the screen, tax loss harvested 20 MFers, maybe 30 MFers collectively.
Sure. I did 15 just myself.
Tough.
Yeah, that's rough.
Tough.
I kept 2 at least for the run up. I did okay.
Did you really?
Yeah.
We did an emergency cope stream when the Pudgy Penguin started.
That was our worst one.
I had 20 Pudgy Penguins and I sold them all below 0.02, I think.
Mine were all under 0.1. We were
Yeah.
all about the pudgy penguins. The thesis was right. We were so
was.
right.
Took too long.
It
I had to
took
take
like
Timing
2
is
months.
bad. Ouch.
That's right.
Ouch.
What's that trading truism? The market can prove you wrong longer than you can stay solvent or something like that.
Oh, the
Uh,
market can stay irrational longer
right.
than you can stay solvent.
yeah.
Right.
I love that
Okay.
quote.
That's a great
Yeah.
quote.
We always made the joke that like eggs were no brainers. Like eggs always won. If you buy something that's pre-revealed and it was an egg, it's gonna run up before it hatches. You know, you can't lose on those. And Pudgy Penguins was the only one that ever was like below mint cost before reveal. Like, and then it took a month later for it to finally like crypto Twitter to take it over, right? Like it's just
Interesting.
NFTs. You just can't like predict them sometimes that way. And like you need the momentum, right? Like it's all about momentum half the time. And MoonBirds obviously had it for those 2 days. Like that's
Sure.
the thing. Like you just need people to start FOMOing, right?
Well, and it's amazing to see what's getting momentum. Like there's so many nights where I'm going through the like featured or the trending page on OpenSea and I see a project and I go, whoa, that's like pumping right now. And then I look and it's had 700 sales in the past day. And I go, oh my God, like I remember when
Rubber
Homie
duckies.
over here, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm.
It is not.
So Jason, you do a lot of outreach. You talk to folks. You seem to be a people person. What are your archetypes of people in the NFT world? Like I characterize myself as a trader bordering on investor, but let's just make myself feel better. I'm a trader, by and large.
Right.
I think most of us and most of our audience and the people we hang out with are traders as well. So essentially profit maxis.
Sure.
And we make fun of people who held apes for as long as they did, because like, what are you doing? This is like a house. It's a car. Now it's a house. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
So what kind of buckets do you put people into when you're talking about NFTs with them?
That's so interesting. I think like I put people into different groups across different industries as well. Like even me being a performer, I had a meeting today regarding performances and I put agents and different, type of bookers and things like that into different channels and kind of where their morals or aspirations kind of fit. I think when it comes to NFTs that we always joke like there's the builders and then there's like the collectors and everything amongst that. It sometimes gets frustrating though, especially when you're in crypto Twitter, where there's so much noise and there's so many people that if there's one quadrant, which is like the shit quadrant that I never want to talk to, a lot of those inbox requests, you just funnel in a full line into that side. So I think there's a lot of room with especially crypto Twitter to kind of trim the fat. And it takes a long time to find those quality people like yourselves on the stream right now that you can kind of foster a relationship with and build from that. I find there's a lot of bad actors. We've been caught in this scenario a lot too, where you're, working with someone with a collaboration, you're working there and then you realize, hold on, we need to pull the brakes because something wasn't explained. Someone wants a lot of money that wasn't talked about up front. Across the board, there's kind of just bad actors that cross your street every other day. So I think in a weird roundabout way to answer your question, there's less quadrants in my mind. There's just a lot more due diligence now that has to take place. There's a lot of people that I thought were going to be really good people that like I looked up to, not even looked up to, but I was a fan of on YouTube and things like that. And then you start chatting with them and you realize, everything you do is pay to play and you don't claim it is. And like those kind of things really frustrate me because I think of me as a collector. I listen to this person and their opinion on it. And I realize all of that is just fabricated to a dollar symbol. And that bothers me a bit. So then they move into that shit list amongst the rest of the message requests. So it's there's a lot, man. There's a lot of different types of people and all that, but there's also some really good people, frankly. Made a lot of really good friends through this. That's funny. Oh my gosh. There's a lot of really good people I've met. Dangy, Lou, we've had conversations in the past before. That was great to meet you. Same with you, Trey. And I think there's a lot of good people in the space who are here enjoying the journey and enjoying building something and fostering, we joke about this word community and things like that so much, but realistically, we are gaining a bunch of friends. Hell, even like a group chat that Gabe and I are in, it's something that I look at you know, every evening before I go to bed just to see the jokes people are cracking. It's the same sort of friendships that I had through group chats in high school and college and things like that. And I think that is kind of cool. Like even just having lunch with some other projects founders or whatever, and, you know, maybe not even talking about NFTs and talking about something else. It's cool to like see the people behind the project when they're a good person. So
that's one of my fears. Like I had a down moment this evening just where nothing was happening. And
Right.
I'm likely going to NFT NYC with a bunch of these idiots like that I've met through this internet chat room.
Right.
And I was thinking like, okay, so we talk NFTs almost 24 hours a day. And then we're going to be having a beer at 3:00 in the afternoon. And what are we going to talk about? Like, what is this
Well,
conversation going to be? I
MoonBirds.
don't.
This is the test, right? And that's the thing. Like Gabe and I have so much in common that we find us chatting about magic tricks or trading cards or collectibles or travel or whatever it be, that we could just riff and bullshit for like, I mean, we do it. We've done it for, you know, how many, almost 2 years, frankly, since I met Gabe, but it's like, or even longer than that now, frankly. But on that, the same thing happens with some of these folks that I haven't, you know, maybe met in person, where it's really cool. You can kind of dig into it and figure out what their other hobbies are other than NFTs. Because beyond it, I would love to learn what Dangy you do on, you know, a Thursday night with your family hanging out besides eating a bunch of hot dogs. Like all I know is that you've eaten a dozen hot dogs, you did a hot dog project, you have the show, and you're funny, right? So it's like I want to learn more about the person beyond that. And I think meeting people in real life, especially at these conferences, is a really good test of that, you know? So I'm going to test you on that in New York. You know, we're going to go for lunch. I'll buy the hot dog. When we
Please
go for
no.
lunch.
Like I'm still not ready to smell another hot dog. But
Have you had another one
still,
since?
I haven't had them, but my daughter, she asks for hot dogs almost every night, and like it's the scent, man. It's the smell, so it's so bad. Gabe, where do you put the buckets of your? Where do you put your, I guess, customers or consumer or audience? Like, what buckets do you put them into, or archetypes?
If we're talking collaborators, I'll convey a really blunt one. Grifters and those that actually believe in Web3. I go into almost every intro conversation with a prospective collaborator, someone that wants me to advise for them, someone that wants to, you know, leverage us for marketing through our Twitter spaces or whatever. I go into every conversation expecting most people to be bad actors, which isn't maybe a good approach. Like that being said, there's a lot of fucking toxic positivity in this space where everyone's soul surfers. I'm not a soul surfer. Yeah. You got to fucking prove it to me that you're here for the right reasons. You're not just trying to extract capital. I've been building apps and fucking cryptocurrency and building crypto companies since 2016. Like I believe in the tech. I think it's transformative. I think it's disruptive. I hate to use the term. Yes, we are early. We're early in terms of broad adoption. I want to see what happens when we have 5 million OpenSea users, 10 million OpenSea users. If I don't get that vibe from someone, I don't want to collaborate with them. So those are my two real broad buckets. But then you know, you have your subcategories within each of those. You know, some are there to make a quick buck. You know, juice you for. I mean, I get other people that, you know, they'll call me and they'll just want to juice all the information from me they can. Like so many asymmetric conversations, and I'm sure you guys have this too in your personal life. People that you haven't talked to in years, and they're like, "Oh, you're into NFTs. I'd love to pick your brain." I was like, "No, my time is valuable. You don't get to pick my brain now. You haven't asked me how I am in 6 months, 5 years, whatever. And now you want to ask me about NFTs? Like, get the fuck out." So anyway, there's a excuse my French here, guys.
It's no longer me. It's GTFO.
Yeah, it's GTFO. So yeah, I'm skeptical. But those that I see that are building that like believe in like I'm going to shout out some people I really like in the space, like guy we collaborate with a lot, like Joe Payne with Society of the Hourglass. And he's just like such a hustler, and he believes that he can build a Web3 media brand, and he spends 12 hours a day working on this thing. And it's like, it's not a grift. He's not just trying to extract capital out of the space. He's trying to build something real and change an underlying financial model for how media is syndicated. And like that stuff fascinates me. Like I don't need to do this all day. So like if you're just here to extract capital from traders, from buyers, from speculators, like I'm not interested in you. I want to see people that want to do cool stuff, which plays into like the conversation of like, do I want to go to an NFT conference and hang out with other NFT nerds if we're just going to talk about that all day? Like what else are you interested in? Yeah. Someone asked me one day, I was at a NFT meetup, she saw PhD on my card, and she says, "Oh, PhD in what?" I said, "Oh, I was a research psychologist by training. Did a lot of statistics. Used to teach. Did some research for the Department of Defense. Worked in both private and public research institutions." She's like, "Oh, that sounds boring. Wouldn't you rather? Aren't you so glad you're here?" I'm like, no. I'm like, that stuff's great, except there's also no money in it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I am here because this is a startup environment. It's exciting. There is capital. We can make very nice livelihoods for ourselves building things in Web3. But like, if someone would pay me 6 figures a year to do academic research, I might do that as well. But right now, that academic enterprise is in fucking shambles. Not that we need to get into that. That's a whole other conversation. But it's like, you got PhDs graduating, making 40,000 a year teaching colleges. Like, that's not the lifestyle I want. So it's so there's these interactions. So yeah, like, you can meet a lot of interesting people in the space that are polymaths, artists, engineers, musicians that could do any number of things well, but then they happen to be in Web3. Like, those are the types of people that I gravitate towards, frankly. So anyway,
that is a perfect segue, because we have our third guest waiting in the wings, friend of the show, who did the art for the show and the intro video for the show,
XG.
Mr. XG.
Let's go, baby.
XG, are you a polymath or an artist?
Artist.
Artist. Hell yeah. So what's going on, buddy? How's your week been?
It's been pretty wild, actually. We've been moving houses, so it's been stressful getting everything from one place to the other.
I feel you.
Poor hosting job, by the way. Gabe and Jason, we're gonna chat XG as an artist side. I know, Jason, you've got a turkey and you're also roasting yourself.
This house is like, I swear to God, 120 degrees. The iPad overheated, the laptop overheated. I'm on the third laptop. I heard my mom scream in the other room, "Time to cut," which might mean my extro. So I'm gonna hang out for a few and then maybe dip. But
perfect.
Yeah.
Same with you, Gabe. Feel free to dip whenever you want. Hang out. We'll chat with XG about, because he's doing an art drop coming up shortly, I believe. So, XG, I know you did art for a little bit. You were with us, NFT speculator, etc. And I'm gonna ask you to multitask. If you have any previews you can share, send them in the private chat or send it to me on Discord, and I can pull them up. But what made you transition from regular day job to whatever your occupation is now to art and putting art out in NFT world?
Well, firstly, my day job was just a minimum wage server. So, it wasn't very hard to beat, especially at the start of the NFT craze. It was pretty easy to make more than I would have made going to work. Like, I was losing money going to work than just hanging out at the computer and minting something and then selling it in a couple hours for like what I would have made a week's worth in like 30 minutes. So that was what I started with. And then I did Top Shot to get started with it. That's how I got introduced to NFTs. And that's how I got introduced to the Deposit Kingdom as well. After that, that's whenever you guys kind of encouraged me to, just give it a shot. Just consider leaving the job and just sticking to this for a while, just seeing what I could make of it. And then from there, I was just a flipper. Like, we're going to be straight up honest. We're flippers in there. But I was in college before the whole pandemic started as a graphic designer. Once that hit, I kind of decided to take a break from it because I just didn't seem worth it to pay the money to be doing online classes for art. Not what I wanted to do. So then once I've always had a passion to make something or create something. And I guess in a way, after I saw NFTs, I kind of started mixing them into a little bit of my schoolwork. I wanted to do 3D renders. I wanted to learn stuff that they weren't teaching us in class anymore. And the professors weren't able to help me with any of the questions I had. So I basically just said, screw this, I'm just gonna see what I can do in a year's time. Basically, it's coming up to a year now. And I think the goal that I had set for myself was have at least a couple pieces and mint them and see if I could sell them. Just kind of put myself out there start and see if I could actually get an audience or a group of people that actually enjoy what I made. And if not, I at least gave myself that chance and that goal to strive towards throughout that whole year that I was off of school and work, really.
That's crazy. So how did you get that courage to make that jump to like just want to bet on yourself like that?
Well, I've come from immigrant parents, so it's always been like we have to bet on ourselves because no one else is betting on you. So you have to do it ourselves because no one else is going to do it for you. And then we've always had an artistic side in our family, and I just felt like no one has been able to actually try to pursue it further, or no one has been in the position to just spend time and dedicate themselves to actually getting something out. And I think that kind of has like affected a lot of our family members from my viewing aspect, at least. I feel like they've struggled with that, and I didn't want to go through that. Like I have cousins who I believe are way more talented than me, artistic wise, that I believe should be doing like art, and they don't think that they can because they can't make a living out of it regularly, or they believe that they can't make a living out of it. And I like try to tell them I'm kind of leading them towards the Web3, but they're a little bit on the more boomer side. But
Yeah, I mean it's hard to show to and say like you can mint your art, it's a JPEG, and people will spend more money than you could imagine on it in a second if you get the right follower and get the right collector. And I've seen a lot of folks on Twitter in particular trying to find artists that aren't found yet, I guess, in a way, or like people that haven't been made, like not an X copy. And so I wonder if that is an option, or how you're trying to get noticed as an artist and how you think you can maybe get your family noticed as well.
yeah, and even if it's not as just an artist of my own project, I would also, if like I can't get my project started by myself, I would love to be part of the Web3 and just join another project or latch onto someone, because I also do believe I have good skill in graphic design, and I could join a team and help them get stuff out better than what I've seen some teams get out. But
Yeah, and
doesn't
having
that
like the
just
connections and like knowing what Web3 is just in general, I feel like is a leg up in a lot of cases.
yeah, it's insane. Like the difference that just knowing the right people can make.
Babs, I saw you looking off screen.
I keep wondering if the beeping's me. Where's the beeping coming from? I feel like I'm losing my mind.
I think it's XG. I thought Dabs was
Okay.
around.
It could be me.
Are you sure? Okay. I was wondering, is my fire alarm like losing its battery, or is my
Frankie's dogs are mad at
Is
XG.
my smoke detector like is on its last battery? Is it me? Is it XG?
Yeah, I think it's XG.
Okay,
I think it's me.
I don't feel as bad. Do you want me to go get Dabs?
Sure, and then we'll get, just for the fire alarm stuff, we'll get XG out of here because I feel bad for Frankie's dogs. XG, you said your drop is coming up. Is that true? You mentioned that, I think.
Yeah, we're dropping. Well, hoping everything goes well. I'm hoping to drop on Thursday. It's gonna be 20 different pieces. So 20 one-of-ones. Only one of them is animated, and I decided that I am gonna mint them. Well, it's gonna be an OpenSea drop, but I'm doing it through Manifold, and like the minting price or the selling price will be 0.069, and the animated one, the bid will be 0.06. Like it'll be an auction, but the minimum bid will also be 0.069, just so if people would want that one over the other, they can bid that one.
Oh man, Manifold. What's the project that was on Manifold?
Pac was on
That was
Manifold.
yeah.
I fucking hate Manifold. But
This,
whatever.
but I don't think XG is doing some wild.
No. That's, yeah, you're good on
Yeah,
Manifold.
he's not trying to do
But I
100,000
absolutely hate
pieces that no one knows what they're minting.
Yeah, that's
For sure.
Manifold sucks.
All right, XG, we should pull together some of these previews because they do look sick. I really enjoy them, and we'll throw them out on Twitter for sure. And I'm sorry that
And
your
then
smoke alarm is rugging you.
I really like that one.
and then it is a little preview of the name of the collection. I sent that one first, and it's just nameless, but it deals kind of like with my username, or the way like my artist name. It starts out as my name, but I just replaced the X's. I just replaced the vowels with X's on my name, and that's how like I came up with my username and my artist name, really. So I want to kind of keep that throughout the whole like collection names as well.
That's awesome. Oh, thanks for swinging by, XG. Come hang if you want, and then annoy Frankie's dogs too, if you want to chat more.
I'll be here. I'll just mute up.
Sick. So Gabe, you don't know the backstory of this crew, but Babs, he's a Canadian as well, just like Jason, but he lives in Alberta. He lives in Calgary or right outside of Calgary. One of the two.
Calgary, yep.
In Calgary, okay. And he's a fixture in our small group. And he recently we're a token gated community, and he gave a token to his dad, who's affectionately known as Dabs. And his dad was retired and now is an NFT savant, it seems. This dude finds weird projects, mints them and sells them for like 2 ETH all the time. I've never heard of these projects. And so we've wanted Babs' dad on the show for a long time, and I think we're going to get it tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. Just take it easy on him. I'll let him sit.
I'm going to hang out, and I'm just
facing you.
I love it. I'm just
going
going to sit and see if he can drop some alpha on us. I'm just going to take notes.
Oh my God.
And buy whatever he calls out.
Dabs.
You have to wear a hat, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Dabs, you sound great.
Thanks.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I definitely can't match Gabe's language, so hopefully he doesn't mock me here.
If there's one thing I know of Gabe, he'll be very mean to you. He's going to be just
fine.
a jerk.
That's fine. I sold my MoonBird, so he probably will be mean to me.
Yeah. Gabe, just to give you a backstory, Dabs and Babs both won the MoonBirds raffle.
Awesome. The odds
No,
of that
it's
are
not
very
awesome.
low.
We hate it.
I mean, it's good for them. I gotta applaud other people's wins. You know, I'm over here wallowing in my lack of access, but I'm happy that other people that seem nice and that I like may have won. So we'll see.
Dabs, can you give us a high level overview of how the hell you got into NFTs from like when Babs first told you about his stupid horse to now? Like, what happened?
Oh, too long-winded, isn't it, Dangy? Jeez. He starts showing me, well, first the top shots, and I'm saying, well, I can see that video on any channel I turn to, and you're paying money for that. And then it was to the Z, to the horses, and then he showed me his big wins and all that, and I'm okay, I guess there's something to it. And then he finally get to see my granddaughters. He comes in September, and then he's showing us these monkeys and all these things. You're going, somebody's paying, well, at that time, what I guess was 50 E at that time. He's saying, yeah, people are paying it. I said, oh, you're nuts. You're crazy. And anyway, he kept harping on it. And so all of a sudden, my girlfriend's or my daughter's boyfriend decided he was going to try it. He was there, like they met Mitch and everything and heard the same talk. And he decides to try it. And then, of course, Steven, that's his name, he decides, hey, Jim, you got to get into it. You should try it. And Mitch says, yeah, you should do it. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And you guys are probably just cracking up, but that's me. Buying a monkey, buying an ape, buying a MoonBird, and somebody wants to give me $50,000 for this stupid thing. Okay, let's keep doing it.
Yeah, it's kind of NFTs in a nutshell, right?
That is so
Recently.
true.
You know, that's comes from the 65-year-old guy. You just, okay, let's keep doing it, make money.
Yeah.
I love, so Dabs, what's been the biggest confusing part about Web3 and Ethereum for you when you were getting involved?
I'm not getting scammed, I think. That was probably the scariest part for me. Babs will tell you the one time I was trying to mint something And oh, fuck, I got robbed. I got nothing left. And he's going, what do you mean you got nothing left? And he goes onto my account. And he says, you got all your money. I said, no, I don't. I can't mint. It says zero. It says zero. And then he goes, you switch to a different network, you goof. So like I've done that. Like, they're just things you just panic that you've done the wrong thing. You've hit the wrong link. And, I'm learning from you guys. It's been tremendous. And I laugh my ass off every night on the Discord. So that's my entertainment. You guys just keep me happy to be doing it. And yeah, you make a little money and have some fun.
Dabs, awesome. I'm so glad that the closest you got to being rugged is you were on a different network.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's amazing.
It is.
I cannot imagine telling my dad to get into NFTs. Like I kind of work for him, kind of, but like I'm his little like tech support. Like it's just constant. Like I don't think he could ever get through the learning curves that are required. It was hard. Props to you, Dabs. Like props to you, because my dad I could not even imagine the amount of hours I would have to put into him, to just get him to be like semi-competent. He would ask too many questions. He wouldn't be able to figure it out on him by himself.
I did all that. And I asked and I learned. You guys, I mean, every one of the guys in the Discord have taught me something or, given me some information. It's been tremendous. But the other thing I'd add, Trey, is I do have the time. I'm retired.
Yeah.
I'm doing nothing. I can spend 8 hours on the day on the computer, and I do. I mean, why not? I'm making money.
Oh, yeah.
Let's keep doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. No, I feel that for sure.
Probably new listener Dick Enzas has a great question for you, Dabs.
Okay.
Does this remind you of any historical events where money seems to be growing like trees?
Jeez,
what touch points do you have for that?
Not for me. The luck sack, Mitch. He's the guy that wins everything. He wins. I mean, you guys, you probably just shake your head every time did he win MoonBirds raffle?
Oh,
of course,
it's so obvious.
Yeah, it's so obvious. Like that's him. And we'd go to minor hockey tournaments when he was 10, 12, 14. We wouldn't even put our own names on the draws for all these things that were there. We'd throw his name in every time, and he wins every time.
How is that even possible? Like what is Babs doing?
Well, he's got a horseshoe up his ass. That's what he has.
Started with Zed. It makes sense.
Oh God. All right. Tony has another self-indulgent question that I love. What's up with your son? Does he really hate music and chips? Does he actually hate music?
He's not a big concert guy. Definitely not. And chips, it's popcorn only. That's his only extra snack he'll ever have. He won't touch that stuff anymore. But you have to think back when he was young. This guy that you now see is not the guy that grew up in our house for probably the first 13, 14 years of his life. He was a very quiet guy, kind of to himself a lot. And then all of a sudden he got into the fitness craze and that kind of stuff and turned into
God damn it, Babs.
And he turned into this when he did the fitness and started getting into that craze. Turned into a very confident guy and sometimes overconfident and a little bit of a prick sometimes. And you see it all the time because he's always got the smart ass comment and the jerk comment. But I love the guy. I always will. And I've grown up with him for now, 36 years. He's not quite 37. He's jabbed me about that. So he's a good kid.
Dabs, help Gabe. Gabe was asking for some alpha from you. So when you're assessing
Dolce,
project,
buy it.
Everything?
Dolce Gabbana.
Is that what you want?
Dolce Gabbana.
Dolce Gabbana raffle. Dabs.
The Dolce Gabbana. I was confused by what you meant. Yeah. Okay. I like it.
No, Mitch and I have already we already run the raffle, the opportunity to, so it's got to be lucky, doesn't it? It's got Babs involved, like Christ.
Yeah, Dabs is looking for exit liquidity.
Yeah.
Aside from that, Dabs, like when because you're what we call a pre-sale grinder. You would go early in a Discord, try to get an OG role and get on the whitelist, and you were that kind of mercenary, at least early on. So what would you look for? Like what signs do you look for in a project about what you think will be good?
I kind of go by a little bit by the talk in the chat. If there's meaningful chat, like most of the time it's just garbage, and I fill it up. I learned great from Iron Mikey at first, and after learning all his chats and laughing at some of the stuff he used to say in them, I just kind of copy his method and say that stuff. But so much of it is just garbage. But when you see one that's legitimately talking about stuff or talking with the mods and trying to find out stuff, then you say there's something there. But I think Mitch always tells me, and I think you guys always say it, especially the grinder guys, say like 8 to 9 out of 10, you're in and you whitelisted. You don't even mint at first. That's another odd one, Trey. I kind of always go back to you because you asked me kind of the question, but you get in them and automatically you got the whitelist. I kind of at the start said, well, you got to mint because you got it. And I'd go right away, and Mitch, of course, give me heck. What are you doing? Wait. And now you've learned to at least watch and see what happens. So yeah, with that, I guess I'm kind of going all over on tangents on you here, but that's something I do follow with just the people in the chat, and if they're talking with mods, and it's not something that's going to be a rug, and you guys are very good at spotting that kind of stuff, and I listen to you.
Are we though?
Ugh.
You are.
No.
You're pretty good. I think you are.
Pixelmon was quite the miss.
Yeah, you guys.
That one was like it just happened so fast. No one
It did
knew what
happen
was
too.
going
That
on.
weird voice and his just frothy behavior.
Oh, Pixelmon. I was actually thinking about Pixelmon when we were talking about how to building games and like giving the team a chance, because that kid, he's a kid. The kid said he's going to redo the art with the 70 million that he got. Like build an actual game.
It's so ridiculous.
Well, doesn't anybody still have the fish tank?
Shut up, Dabs. That's
I've
me.
got mine.
Dabs, I think I have like token ID 8 of the fish tank.
I don't know what number mine is, but it's under 100.
I
I
have
actually
like number 1 of something. The GM.
Yeah.
I have number 2 and 3, I think.
2 and 3.
I DM'd the fish tank guy to try to be a dev on that team because I thought it was a cool concept. Like I wanted a digital fish tank on my desk. I still believe. Gabe, what did you have on Pixelmon? I want to hear you on Pixelmon.
I didn't. I was enjoying the meme cycle. I was trying to elevate my own Twitter handle by producing some good Pixelmon memes, mostly centered not around Kevin, but around the Brown character. And it was mostly like memes around putting him out of his misery or sending him to the null address, like just shoot him to 0x00000. Anyway, I passed. I made great fun of my friends that minted Pixelmons. And yes, there were several of them. Jason was not one of them, but won't throw anyone under the bus. Yeah, I did feel a little FOMO though. I remember there's a day, this is going to be TMI. I was sitting on the toilet browsing NFTs and thought maybe I should buy a Pixelmon. And then I thought, well, maybe I should wipe my ass and get on with my day. And that was my take on it. So
I wish I would have done that.
Anyway,
That's how I got into.
If you haven't minted NFTs sitting backwards on a toilet, then you're not a real trader.
Or check like a reveal from the toilet. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's how I got invited on this
Yeah.
show, and here we are.
Exactly. Too much laptop in the bathroom, waiting for the contract to go live.
Oh, we had some.
Yep.
We had that one story. There was a guy like on a date. He like went to the bathroom and he was checking Discord, and he just had Babs mint it for him, right?
That's Riley.
Riley,
we know who that is.
Which project was that? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
But that was a funny one. I don't think it was Leaps.
No. I don't remember.
That's my reverse toilet one because it was 2 a.m. Eastern when that was minting, and I was God.
I like Galactic Apes. R.I.P. Are they still doing anything? I don't know.
Oh
really
man,
like their art.
They got bought out.
We did too.
Else, or
I still have some. Yeah.
They forgot about the monkeys. Oh, it was Loopy Donuts.
Oh yeah, Loopy Donuts.
Oh my God, those did well for a little bit there. For a little bit,
they got up to like 4 or something.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say 4, 5.
Oh man,
that's how degenerate this circle of hell you walked into is, Gabe. Riley was on a date with somebody, and I think he's actually still with that person now. And asked his internet friend to mint a loopy donut for him.
Yes. It's so good.
And it was
I mean-
profitable. That was like a $1,000 worth DM that he sent, though. You know,
That's true.
paid for dinner.
All right, Dabs.
Money don't sleep, as they say. I guess.
God,
You know.
that's so true during NFT summer. Dabs, you are a mercenary. You are here for money, and that's what you're here for. Is there a project that you would hold on to for a while? And if so, what would it be if there was a project that you would hold on to for a while?
I think I would have held on to MoonBirds if I had a previous sale that high. Like I I'm for Gabe, like that's my biggest sale ever. So how can I hang? I kept saying to myself, talking to Mitch, and finally I said, I've got to take it. But this would have been one I would have held on for a while for sure.
What are the signs though? Is it just
Well,
the price action?
Just the price act that that it's solid. I mean, okay, worst case scenario, it goes down to 10, 15. What have I lost? And if I've made a previous big sale, but I hadn't made anything over, I think 3 was my highest before. So this was pretty important to me. Get lock one in and feel good about yourself, and high five Mitch. And I learned about it visiting his grandpa. I was visiting my father-in-law, and he's texting me from the zoo. Neither one of us are at home, and I'm not on a computer, and that's how I learned it finally did sell.
Nice. I think that's
Go
smart.
ahead, Lou.
No, I mean it's crazy because I think the way that he just described it, I think there was a lot of people in MoonBirds like that. I had a tweet yesterday that was like people that sold at 8 versus bought at 8. Like if you bought at 8, you could have ended up making more money, but it's way riskier to do it. So the people that were selling at 8 likely never had the ability to sell something at 8 before. Like that's happened to me. Like with my mutant sale, like once it got to that 15 ETH range, I was thinking in my head, like, am I ever going to hold something that's worth 15 ETH ever again? Like maybe not. So I think it's interesting where there's probably a lot of those stories specifically with MoonBirds where there was the raffle for it versus if it was Gas War or Dutch auction, things like that. So I think that's the cool side of MoonBirds that maybe people aren't talking about as much, as a lot of people have probably made their top sale in it.
100%. There's no doubt in my mind that's true. That's the upshot of raffles.
For sure.
The downside of
Just
them
seeing
is
that.
one of our biggest edges as a community was gas warring early. We figured out how to gas war early and just made bank on those because that was indicative of demand. Pixelmon is the exception that proved that rule, I guess. But can't win them all.
We were proven wrong many times before that.
Yeah, that's true. Art blocks. Hey, so Dabs, do you tell your other boomer friends about NFTs? And if so, what do they think?
Yeah, I've told a few and they just shake their head. And I did a long-term strategic planning session in Saskatchewan. That's what brought me out here. Anyway, they paid for my way, so I'm coming out to visit my son on top of it. But I drove down with a guy that took over my old job in Saskatchewan with Saskatchewan baseball. I drove 2 hours from Saskatoon to Regina, long-winded. Not many know that distance, but it's a 2-hour drive. And the last hour I start talking about NFTs, and it's I'm getting hyped about it and telling him all this stuff. And then he's just kind of, he's about 10, or I know he's about 20 years younger than me, but he's just shaking his head. I don't really get it and didn't really get it. But I've told a lot of other people like at my old job, and this is something that you should be looking at. And they just kind of shake their head. Nobody's asked me for information, and I'll just keep it to myself, I guess.
All right, Gabe. Once 2 baseball coaches from Saskatchewan to Regina are talking NFTs casually without one just being deaf on having it fall on deaf ears, then we're no longer early. I won't accept it.
Exactly.
But we're still a little early because we haven't reached that strip.
Dabs is an outlier, I'd say, and I think that's their loss if they're not willing to take the plunge. I mean, it's like appropriate risk appetite at the appropriate time, and apparently you have it, which is cool.
Yeah, think about the alpha these people just stumbled upon, and they're just like,
Yeah.
we're good. We're
Yeah,
good.
we're good.
We're talking to dabs right now.
They'll recount the conversation.
Yeah.
2 years from now, 3 years
for
from
sure,
now.
for sure.
Remember what you were telling me about that this on that car ride we had. You know?
Hey, I'd like to pick your brain about NFTs.
Yeah.
That's the messages you can get in 6 months.
Exactly. Sorry, too busy. You haven't asked me how I'm doing in 2 years, and now you want to ask all my alpha? Get the hell out of here.
That's a long way off for me. I got to last that long, guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Lou, Trey, what other questions do you have for Dabs? Or even Gabe, do you have any other questions for Dabs is officially the oldest person that I know who knows what an NFT even is. So
I have a question, because it sounds like you trade without any attachment or emotional, vesting in these projects, which a lot of NFT collectors do not. They're like, oh my God, I'm so attached to these pictures of cats and dogs and frogs. But do you have any emotional investment into some of the NFTs that you mint, or is it just like a stock or another asset?
No, I think it's like a stock and another asset for me, Gabe. I just think it's fun. I'll hold a little bit. I'll hold for some time and try to make a little bit more and that type of thing. But am I invested in anything? I'm invested in being pissed off at Serial Club and my son yelling live. Yeah. Like things like that. I'm invested in. I lost 1.5 ETH, you goof.
I like that. That's some sage wisdom. Those listening, take some cues from Dabs. Seriously.
What?
Yeah, well, I mean, for some of us, it's about making money. I mean, for you guys, you're young, you're got a lot of time to hold. I just trying to add to my retirement fund. That's all I'm trying to do, and enjoy doing it.
I think more people should admit that. More people. I think Gabe. I think you talk to maybe a lot of grifters that want to act like they're here, or like I feel like more people would just be better off admitting that they're here for the money, and that they're here to just flip and whatever, and that's okay. Like there's gonna in every innovative space like this where there's opportunity, you're gonna find people like that. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think all the stupid ones I've given up, like you guys talked MFers, I had those. You've talked chain runners, I had those. You talk Boylan Land, I had those. Like, I should have been holding more, Gabe. Like there's things that I should have held longer. But I was early in it, and I had to make my 0.1s and my 0.2s, and I did it to build my bankroll. And now I feel confident to do a little bit and hold a little longer and make more, which I do a lot more of that. I hold longer, but it's still about making the money too.
I mean, we're never going to call the top. I mean, some of us get lucky here and there, but ultimately that just sounds like good capital management, frankly. Like, okay, I've got targets. So I'm up 40%, I'm up 50%. Many of them are going 2-3x after mint, or in your case with MoonBirds. I mean, almost 10x if you caught the top on that. I mean, that's just sound, frankly, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but also if you can tell the personal story that yes, some people were 10x, I 3x'd, and then you could just tell it that way, and it's still positive, your story of it,
Yeah, and Mitch, the first day or the first or second thing I sold, and then it went higher. He says, "Dad, you can't look back," and it's true. I don't. I do look at the floor and stuff, but it doesn't bother me that it's gone up.
Eventually you'll get to the point where you just don't feel anything and you can look back and just like laugh at yourself almost.
That's where I'm at with MoonBeanz. It's so weird.
I'll look up punchy penguins every once in a while and just look at my activity and just kind of giggle to myself, oh yeah, that sucks, but it is what it is.
Hindsight bias is a hell of a drug.
Yeah,
we've all got some killer stories.
Oh yeah, and then it's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you're in it long enough and you have thousands of transactions and mints and stuff. It's gonna happen.
I have here's my greatest hindsight bias story. I have an Ethereum Genesis wallet. It comes from a block with a 0 address. I won't tell you what I sold that at. It nothing.
What do those go for?
Well, that's a
Are
great
they
question.
Like a hot commodity?
No, they should be. That's a funny thing. Like there's only 9,000 Genesis wallets for Ethereum. So I was
There's
just
like
like,
10 million people, millionaires,
Right.
whatever that number is.
But the thing about it is there was obviously Ethereum. So I bought a half a Bitcoin worth of Ethereum in their ICO. I could tell you I sold the bulk of that for probably less than 50 grand. The total valuation on that wallet's probably in like the 2.5 million, 3 million range. Right now. And you know what? Like, what am I going to do? I would have held it that long. That's
Right.
the
That's how
other-
you
yeah.
yeah.
And that's,
Yeah, it's occasionally distressing. It's a great story though, and I laugh about it. But we're never going to call the top.
God. Yeah, that's well, and you have to go through it too. I think you have to go through the whole mourning cycle of, oh, I really fucked it up. But then you go back and you think, what did I know at the time? What can I do differently and learn from it and move forward? If you're built for it. Some people, and this isn't meant to be a slight to anybody who wants to be a trader that isn't built for it. Some people aren't built for it. I think I'm barely built for it. I can handle it, but it affects me more than people that are actual true traders, just because I'm too emotional and sometimes too intellectual about what I'm trying to do. So I don't know. My message, don't beat yourself up too much as you can, even though it's impossible. I was going to go back one step, Dabs. To have a bonding with your son and be able to give him a hard time for minting early on Serial Club. I'm a dad. My son and my daughter's 4.5. My son is 1.5. Like, I sincerely hope that I have one memory like that. That's so awesome. I think it's great that you two can share that.
Yeah, we are. We laugh at each other with this stuff, and it's good. It is bonding. We used to bond over, of course, fantasy sports, and we're in the same fantasy draft and that kind of stuff. But this, there's a lot more of this stuff, NFT chatter back and forth, and his wife and my wife look at each other and kind of shake their heads when we start talking about it. But,
I can't even imagine. Like, seriously, they gotta just be like, "What the hell?
What the hell?" Exactly.
Yeah.
That's incredible. All right, gentlemen. Anything else for the show? We didn't talk beans. We didn't really talk too much moonbirds. I wasn't able to FUD moonbirds.
Talk some moonbirds. What's their FUD?
I don't know.
You were talking about how great they are and why you still have yours.
I never said how great they were. They haven't had a chance to fail yet. That's what's happened with moonbirds. Just give them a chance to fail. Oh, you're shipping nesting early? Congratulations. You said nesting was going to come with the whole project. You're finalizing details today? Whoop-de shit. You should have already had them finalized. That's my FUD of moonbirds.
I would say they did have a smooth
You're
job.
K-Rose Maxi.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yes, I think Kevin Rose is a good technologist. No. Here's the thing. Like, yes, I have a moonbird bag, but let's just be honest about our assessment of the project. Like, don't think that he's revolutionizing Web3 because the floor went to 20 ETH. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't change what he's doing. He's doing in-wallet staking. But I will say this. If he does nesting before OpenSea supports delisting nested birds, he's a fool. OpenSea needs to support that before he does the nesting stuff.
Hey, back this up for me.
Sure.
Is in-wallet staking supposed to be a novel feature right now? Like, there are other projects that do this.
Yeah, they're not the first.
Oh yeah. I claimed my Volt token for my Subduct a few hours ago, so I could buy a cupcake with it or whatever the thing is, ice cream. I'm kidding. I actually swapped it for Ape token, but it's oh, the shade. I actually love Subducts. That's one of my favorite projects in the space. But are people like high on that idea that in-wallet staking is a novel feature?
I just think staking with the flexibility. I think people like the liquidity, but also like the staking idea, if that makes sense. So that's kind of combining the two. But
didn't I see
so many Solana projects do that. Like, it's not new.
Didn't I see an announcement that moonbirds were gonna, like, if someone listed it below floor while it was staked or something, they were going to have like a bot that automatically
Yeah.
comes in and scoops it up or something. I don't understand
Yeah.
like what. I don't really get that, but
How to know that
I'm-
it's
I'm not-
listed? You mean?
Oh, interesting.
I guess I'm not even following why they would need to do that, but I don't understand the mechanics of
boost
the
the
nesting and
floor.
everything. I sold mine. So that's literally what it is.
And of Ethereum.
Animatheriums.
Animatheriums. I always love when those get brought up.
Gabe, do you have any clue what animatheriums are?
Is this like a combo project? It's Animeta's that
No.
mated with a with something else. No, what is the
That would be
Animatherium?
dope. We wish.
It doesn't.
But
It's a project that we all minted because of the staking part of the project, and then they went immediately to zero.
Oh, no.
Immediately
But
to zero.
But the key was that we thought they were not going to zero. We
Oh,
thought
no.
that we were rich, but we
It's
weren't.
Oh, no.
I don't want to put words into Proof's mouth. I don't think they're saying they're the first to ever do a thing, but it's one of the things they've mentioned of like you can still hold your NFT and you can stake
The
it or lock
idea
it.
is the longer you have it nested, they're going to give you different rewards. I think that's why they're wording it this way, where like if you list it, then that resets the clock, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean it's a brilliant Ponzi. I think it's great. Like you want to incentivize people to not list it. They're being relatively unabashed about that. Like we're incentivizing you to not list your NFT. So if they, I want to look more at what Ryan Carson tweeted allegedly about they will unlock your Moonbird if you list it. You can do that. It's a pretty Web 2 solution. The owner can unlist. I'm sorry, the owner can unnest your bird. So like the contract owner can do that. So you can write code to do that. It just feels icky. I don't know. It's like, oh, you're custodying your bird, but I can still control it, which Pac played with before, which I think is cool because people have misconceptions about how NFTs work. So I think messing with their brains about how that works is cool. But I don't know. I don't know. I have my guard up on Moonbirds. People think I'm fudding it when I'm just like, what have they done? Why do they warrant this floor? I don't know. But I also I'm firmly middle IQ, Gabe. I am not left or right. I am smack dab in the middle.
I will say one thing,
That's
like
reasonable.
not winning the raffle made it so I wasn't as attached to, because I ended up second guying. So then it made it a lot easier. I bought at 9.1 and was able to, like, we obviously saw the big run up, and most of the time I hold through that kind of stuff. But when I, for some reason, second guying, it was more just like a financial decision, I guess, rather than like, oh, I lucked into this and I was awarded this prized Moonbird or something like that, right? So it definitely made it a lot easier to sell it after the fact.
Yeah, Philly, you're right. I think we can end on this. Why do they warrant this floor is as mid IQ as it gets. Yeah. Great point.
The mid
Couldn't say it better.
IQs, we've had some big mid IQ events over time, but I mean that's fun too, to look back and realize that it was just very mid IQ of you, you know.
For sure. Gabe, thank you for hanging out with us. Where can they find information about BitElectro or behavioral economics? You choose which side of Gabe you wanted.
I'll share both. So BitElectro, obviously, BitElectroLabs.com. Discord, Twitter is just BitElectro, BITLECTRO. We do a cool spaces every Tuesday. They're always topical. I shared this in our private chat here. The go-to for behavioral economics that I always tell people to check out is Misbehaving by Richard Thaler, who studied under Kahneman and Tversky, who are the godfathers of behavioral economics. In fact, my dissertation work was extensions on Kahneman and Tversky's earlier work, just some modifications, some new explorations. But Thaler's Misbehaving is a great work where each chapter introduces you to some phenomena in the discipline, and so much of it you will apply to the NFT space, and especially if you're a trader or degen, speculator, or flipper, it all applies. And thanks for having me. That was fun. Yeah, this is probably the most fun podcast, stream, etc. that I routinely do. You guys are way more entertaining. No shade to anybody else, but you guys might be one of my favorites. So yeah.
Well, I think it goes back to what Trey was saying of like, yeah, we're speculators. That's who we are. Screw it. Like it's who we are.
Come out here and shoot the shit, man. Like it's way more fun that way.
Yeah.
And like we're a tight knit group of 199 people. I can tell you that story later. And we do the show for ourselves. Like that's really what it is. Dabs is a legit hero for us, and so we love Dabs. This has been a great
Yeah, you were on the first
to be a
Dab
part of.
show.
Yes.
Yeah,
this
this
is
was
legendary.
huge. This was huge.
First and last, or what?
Definitely not last. It sounds like
Open
you're gonna be
invite.
a regular
Open
fixture.
invite. Seriously, if you want to replace
Dangy,
that.
let me say one more thing, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Dangy and Gabe, you guys are so smart at the back end of stuff. Why don't you get on OpenSea and kick the nuts out of those guys that fast gas the raising prices, please? Like that's the one
I'd
thing
love
that
to.
pisses me off the most.
The listing trick.
Yeah,
That's what you're talking about.
yeah.
Gabe, do you know what Dabs is talking about?
No. Explain to me. I'm not sure I know what the phenomenon is.
Let's say the Pixelmon floor is 1 ETH. They'll list a Pixelmon for 0.8 ETH and then immediately delist it and list it for 8 ETH. Hoping that somebody will fast gas it.
You can cancel the lower listing. Yeah.
At the same time, and you're quickly trying to beat the rush. And
does that still happen quite a bit? I know that it was
yeah.
Is that like?
But I think people catch it more because like the other programs that they're using update.
Guys,
are you laughing? Are you laughing at what I just shared?
Yeah, we got to go out on this. So,
that
Gabe's
is so
OpenSea wallet is Gable's.
Yeah. I have the Atom Ethereum. I forgot I bought these.
You had it.
I bought a few of them. I think I bought like 4 or 5. And then when they went to 0, I just started sending them to people as like their intro NFT. Like, oh, you're interested in how MetaMask works? Here, have this funny character. And I think I kept my 2 favorites.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh,
yeah, that's so great.
We love
I love it.
We love the Atom Ethereum.
Yeah, the other one I have, it's like a weird ape character, and his brain is getting dissected, and a green goo is coming out.
I bought that one, Dangy.
I think I bought these without even knowing that they had a staking component. I just thought the art was ridiculous, and they were stupid enough to pump
the animation.
Yeah.
Gabe, you got to do your 50 hours before minting a project.
This was a Babs flag plant, I think.
If I had the time, you could trick me into minting all sorts of shit. I might be the stupidest trader on here. I have my wins, but man, I'll mint, I'll mint projects just because they're like pixel art, and I'm like, oh, pixel art, support pixel art. So if you guys want to trick me into buying something, like just make a new animal with, with 16-bit NES graphics, and you can be assured I'll ape in to your mint.
Well, so. you're in trouble because after the MoonBirds run up, pixel art is here.
Exactly.
Cheers, everybody. Ether things. That is, yeah. Be our excellent video, Gabe. Come on.
Yeah, get on it, man.
Go sweep the floor of that. Great.
That's right.
Love it.
For Lou, for Trey, for Babs, for Dabs, for Gabe, for XG. See you later.